How do you set up your life so that success is inevitable? I just ran a marathon in Houston. It's the first of 50 that I'll do this year, the 50 States Marathon Challenge, and I felt great. I ran a 3-hour, 39-minute marathon, an hour and 13 minutes faster than my previous one a year before, right? Last February, I ran the Publix Atlanta Marathon, and it was a tragedy. This time, it was a very good pace. How did I drop an hour off my marathon time in 1 year? And then how can you do the same with anything that you do in life? How can you set up your life so that success is inevitable, right? Most people think to themselves like, running a marathon, I could never do that. First off, to address this, you have no idea what you could do. I had no idea until I ran a marathon that I was capable of running one, right? But looking out on the group of all these people who have ever run a marathon, it's a category of very diverse groups of people. You've got people in their 80s that are running marathons after, being mainly decayed. And then you've got people in their 20s who are struggling to run a marathon, even though they're in the best shape of their life, right? This diverse group of body types and shapes and all these different things, regardless of all the differences that they have, everyone in this group is able to complete a marathon. Most likely you have it in you to be able to complete one, right? Never tell yourself, I could never do that, because you just haven't done it yet. You have no idea what the limits of your potential are, right? Until you push them. But how do you set up your life so it's inevitable success? First off, you do the things that are required of you to make this challenge inevitable, right? So about 3 months ago, I knew that I had this 50 marathons challenge coming up. I was like, okay, well, if I want to do this thing, I've got to start putting in effort every single day to make this thing happen, right? That's the first part, is what is it going to take? So I talked to my buddy. I was like, hey, what do you think it's going to take? Like, how often should I be running? How many miles? We came up with a plan of, if I'm going to run 26 miles a week for an entire year, the 50 States Marathon Challenge, then I'll be running probably around 50 miles in that week, right? I'll be running 200-mile months, because the way we thought about it, the marathon is 26 miles. And then throughout the week, I'll be running, 10 miles, 6, 4, whatever it is, right? All together throughout the week, it'll be 50. So when I started this challenge 3 months ago to start running 1 mile every single day, at the bare minimum, I had the idea in mind that, okay, I want to average around 30 to 40 miles a week to start out, right? Because if I'm going to be doing around 40 to 50 miles a week for this marathon challenge, I got to start as soon as I can getting up to that mileage. I did something every single day for the past 100 days, because I just completed my 100th day 2 days ago, to make it inevitable that I would be able to compete in the Houston Marathon and succeed, right? And so then now I'm going to be doing a mile every single day at the bare minimum, but most likely most days like 6 to 10 miles. And then on other days, like rest days, I'll be doing 1 to 2 for the rest of this year and probably for the next few years of my life. Just because to succeed at the things I want to do, I have to do the things that will make it inevitable. And so for me, running, exercise, all these different things, that's one of the things I want to succeed at in life. So I have to do the things that will make that inevitable, right? Okay, so then how do you do this in your life? Figure out what are the things I need to do on a daily basis to make success inevitable. The nice part is that if you have the goal in mind of what it's going to look like at the end, I want to write a book, right? Then you can break it down and say, well, if I want to write a book in 1 year, then I probably need to write 1 page a day, right? Maybe every other day I want to write 3 pages. Instead of doing every single day, I'll just do every other day, or however it lines up on your schedule, right? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 days a week. I would have to do 7 pages, to be able to do 350 pages by the end of the year. So then 2 pages for those 3 days. Whatever it takes, you break it down. But the nice part is that you have the end goal in mind. So then you can tell yourself, okay, well, if I want to succeed at this thing down here, like when I break it down into all these different pieces, each of these pieces is a portion of what it's going to take to accomplish this thing. So it's not just that I'm going to go out and run a mile today, but if I'm going to run 1,500 miles this year and I'm running 1 mile today, well, then it's really not that big of a deal. I can break that mental barrier of doing a mile every single day. It's like, well, that's easy. Maybe if I go out and run 10 miles, that's a little bit more difficult, but even then, that's not even a fraction, not even a percent of what I'm going to run this year. If I ran 15 miles, that would be 1% of what I'm going to run this year. So I could give the importance to that thing what it is do. Give the anxiety or emotion that I might feel in proportion to how it stacks up against the goal, right? So it allows you to make the dragon a lot less scary, right? Okay, so then on top of that, what else do you need to do? You need to do the things on a daily basis that will move you towards this goal so that it's inevitable. You need to surround yourself with the right people. Well, I took on this challenge with my buddy Tyler, and we were doing 1 mile a day, every single day, since he's like a month more than I am right now, but we both have around 100 and so days in this challenge. And so because I've made this like a community thing now, now I'm looking for people who are actively trying to challenge themselves with running. That's the goal, is you surround yourself with the people after doing the daily actions, right? And then you figure out what are the things I need to be consuming or doing to get better at this thing, right? And that's how you make success inevitable. And so, I think I wrote down a couple things on this card because there's a lot I want to touch, but most people put limits on their potential without knowing what they're capable of. That's where I was last year when I thought to myself, like, there's no way I could run a marathon, right? But then Tyler and I went out and did this marathon without training. So then that broke the barrier of like, okay, well, I can do a marathon. Why can't I do one, faster than I did last time? Well, I just did that. 3 hours, 39 minutes was my finish time on this marathon. And that's doing a sub 4 marathon with 3 months of training is pretty good in my book, right? Okay, and of course you could say like, well, maybe I was in shape already and all these different things. I have no way of comparing my situation to you, right? And you shouldn't do that. But regardless, when you take on these different challenges, it breaks down slowly this massive heights, this massive goal to its little components. It's a lot easier to take on, right? It's like, here's another one. Most people go through their lives without knowing what they're capable of, right? So imagine how stupid it would be to never push your limits. It's like driving on a highway going 25, right? Because you went through a school zone and it said the speed limit was 25. And so then you're on the highway and you're like, well, that must be what I have to do. Like if 25 was the speed limit driving through the school, I probably can't go any faster than that. Well, we would say it's kind of stupid because you see the speed limit sign, it says 45. The car could probably go up to 100 miles per hour because on the dash it has the thing that tells you the different speeds, right? And so what the car is most likely capable of. But in our life, we don't really have that. We don't have a gauge that tells us what we're capable of. So you kind of have to go out there and challenge yourself to figure that out. What am I capable of? I have no idea if I'm going to be able to run a marathon in all 50 states this year, but I do know that I can attempt it. I do know that I can put myself out there and try to see how many marathons could I run this year? How many marathons am I capable of running once a week in a row? Right now I've run 2 marathons so far. I did a half marathon January 1st. January 7th, I did a full marathon. And then January 14th, I just did another, right? And so then this weekend, I'll run another marathon, and we're going to see how long I can do this whole streak, right? Now, for me, I know because I was running 50-mile weeks, it's a little bit easier, like the past 3 months, it's a little bit easier for me to repackage those miles that I was doing, 13 miles, then 5, then 13, or whatever it was for the training practice schedule. I can repackage that and know that, if I just run 26 miles once every week, I probably have what it takes to do that because I've taken on a less difficult challenge, but still pretty difficult the past couple of months, right? And so whatever you want to do, break it down into the small pieces and see, am I capable of doing the small pieces, right? Because you have no idea. Maybe it's so scary that this big goal because you have no idea if you're capable of the smaller pieces. But that's the thing, is most people never go out and try to figure out if they're capable of taking on these small pieces. And so then that's what forever prevents them from doing this massive thing. When in reality, they probably would be much greater than this massive thing that's in their head right now. Once they took on those smaller pieces and realized, wow, this is not that bad. Instead of me being scared of running a marathon, just my first marathon, right? We ran into it without training whatsoever. That opened up this whole door of like, well, running one marathon is nothing. That's just training now. Now I got to go into the year and do one every single week. That's a big thing, but who knows? Like maybe one day, and this is, hopefully the goal in 2026, maybe one day I could run a marathon every single day for an entire year, So you have no idea what you're capable of until you just put yourself out there and try to figure it out, right? Okay, on top of that, let's see here. Oh yeah, there's another one, right? There first has to be a dream to make your dreams come true. Most people stumble through life without ever putting down on a piece of paper what exactly they want to do. They don't put down a dream, right? They don't have the permission, so I give you permission. Go out there and try to figure out, what is my dream? What do I want to do with my life? Because you really can do some great things. It just requires that you write that down, and then you put your time and focus towards that, right? Because the things, what's the phrase? It's basically like if you have a plant, right, and you neglect it, it's not going to grow. That whole thing, right? So some people don't even know that they have a plant that's out there that they need to be watering, that they need to be giving time to, and it's a terrible example. I'm trying to think of how to describe how to break down your dream into something manageable. But basically, you want to write it down, break it down into pieces, and take it on one step at a time, right? Okay. Then after you break down this goal, you want to redefine what's possible. So, I ran one marathon, the whole month of December. I was like, let me see how many miles I could run in this month, right? Because I have no idea if it's possible that I could run a marathon every single week until I know that I could run around 200 miles in a month. And so I added one more mile on every single day for the entire month of December. And so I slowly added on more difficulty every single day. And I knew I could do 15 or so miles, but I didn't know if I could do 15 miles right after doing 14, and then the next day run 16, the next day run 17. So I got up to day 17, and that final week I ran 98 miles in 1 week. I didn't know I was capable of that, right? But I put myself out there and I was able to achieve something crazy. I redefined what was possible in my mind. I can probably pull off a marathon every single weekend if I'm able to do this challenge. So then now it's a lot less scary for me to go out there with the confidence that I can do this the whole year, because I've already done something somewhat similar, somewhat on that level, right? Then once you redefine what's possible, you have to redefine what's impressive. And so running one marathon is no longer impressive to me, A lot of people build up the importance, and it's good to do that, but I think that you build up the importance, and then once you do it, that's the end of your fitness journey, right? So all the training was just leading up to the marathon, and then, you ran your marathon, and then, a year later, 2 years later, life goes on, but you don't have that motivation anymore to get back out there and stay fit. So the goal becomes finishing this achievement so that you have, another story to tell, but not making this a lifestyle. What are the benefits of running? It's great for your mind. It's great for everything, right? It allows you to live longer, better blood flow, better quality of life. But if you make the goal the marathon, the one and done, you're not tapping into that benefit long term. You want to make the goal to make this a lifestyle, right? Doing it every single day or every single week, or whatever it takes for you to be happy with your running shape. That way, the benefits are a lifelong benefit and not just for the one race, right? And that goes for everything. You don't want to just study while you're in college. You want to be able to be a lifelong learner and actually continue to study throughout the rest of your life. Why do you want to do that? Because if you limit your knowledge to 4 years, your knowledge intake, how much are you missing out on, right? If you limit how much you work out to the marathon training plan, well, you could be in the greatest shape of your life. If you change the goal to be the lifestyle, I want to be someone who runs instead of being someone who ran a marathon. I'm something that you're doing actively today instead of thinking about what you've done in the past, right? Okay, and then the last part is when you redefine what's impressive, it goes throughout the rest of your life, right? So for me, running a marathon in all 50 states, that would be impressive to me, right? If I want to have some insane stories to tell, one of those would be that I ran a marathon in all 50 states in 1 year, right? And so then that's the quality, the type of person that I am. I'm super high quality. Anything that I do is excellent. It's the top of the game, cream of the crop. It's the greatest thing you've ever seen. And then that's just my brand. That's who I am, right? So when I redefine what I'm capable of, I also redefine my story, the story of Wyatt Moss. Who is Wyatt Moss? He's the type of guy to go run a marathon in all 50 states, right? And I'm actually going out and doing that. It's like the whole thing with Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris was more of a legend than anything. And I don't even know if he was real or not. I need to look into this and see if he was. But basically, he had all these things that were spoken over him, such to the point that people would say things that he had never done, but you would just believe it. It's like Chuck Norris. I can't even remember what these memes were. But if you look it up, back in like 2015, Chuck Norris was like a huge thing, right? And there were memes made about him, and like basically my point in saying this is you redefine what you're capable of, redefine your story. You show other people this new story that you've written for yourself through your actions, right? You surround yourself with this new group of people who will help you to live out that story. And then finally, the story of who you are carries through your reputation. Your name carries into other rooms just because people think to themselves like that guy's crazy. You know, what he's doing is awesome. I want to be more like him, right? The story is so great that people carry your name, but to share that story, you're associated with impressive, courageous success. Maybe that's the best way to say it, right? The whole point of this video, though, is like, whatever you want to do in life is achievable. You just have to break it down into pieces, take it on one bite at a time, move towards it on a daily, consistent basis, and surround yourself with a group of people who's going to help you reinforce that behavior. And then on top of that, you want to take in the right things that are going to help you to get better at this thing, the right nutrition or the right knowledge or whatever you can consume, while also producing a good amount of output on a consistent basis, like I just said. That way you can redefine what you're capable of slowly over time, push that barrier a little bit higher, and try to see where your limit is. And who knows, you might achieve something like insane, like running a marathon in all 50 states. You just have no idea that you were capable of that if you never tried. And wouldn't you want to go out there and try to figure that out? Because your life could be a wonderful story that lives past your interactions with people. It goes into rooms of people you've never met because people enjoy sharing the story of who you are. And it lives past your death because that's how much of a profound impact you've had on the world. For me, that's the inspiring vision that I have for my own life. I want to live out a story so great that my name carries into every room, and somehow there's always my name on someone's tongue, right? They're sharing something that I've done. It's less to share my name. It's more that that's the type of person I want to be, that I'm doing things at such a great level that as a result, my name carries so far, right? Because that, whether or not my name carries, whether or not people know who I am, I could care less. You know, they could drop my name off the story and still tell the story. But that gives me the encouragement that the things I'm doing are actually valuable in this world. And that's all we really want to know at the end of the day is like, am I succeeding? You know, comparable to my peers? Am I on the right path? Am I doing the right things? That's all we really want to make other people as proud. All we really want to do in this life is, you know, sorry, I said that wrong. All we want to do in this life is make other people proud, you know? So yeah, I think that's the thing. If you want to make success inevitable, do that, break it down, go after it every single day. You are capable of so much more than you could ever imagine. So you just have to figure out how to make it happen, break it down to smaller pieces, because you will not be able to take on this massive idea for yourself. And if it's pretty manageable right now and you know you're like, this is easy, well, maybe you're capable of so much more. So break that image of what you think you're capable of, put a more inspiring vision forth of something that's going to require growth out of you to achieve, and move towards it, because you are capable of a lot. Try to figure it out. Try to figure out what is my limit. What could I do in this life, you know? Because you really could do great things if you tried. So why not us?